Good Tuesday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on in to a special NXT 2.0 preview live episode. I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. With me today from Fightful, Joel Pearl. Joel, welcome on into the show, my friend. It's always good to have you here on our old YouTube channel. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, Zach. I appreciate it. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it should be. It should be, and we're gonna again. This is a new feature on the channel. We're gonna be doing some live previews for the major shows of the week. So Raw, NXT, Dynamite, SmackDown, maybe an Impact in there somewhere. We'll have to see. But yesterday we did the Raw preview. You guys can check that out on the channel right now. Do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'd really appreciate it. Growing a pretty fun community here, and just be a part of that. Would love to have you a part of that. So like, subscribe as always. With that said, Joel, let's get into it. NXT 2.0 tonight, a special episode in name only, as it's an anniversary show for the NXT brand. Let me ask you this, just high level. We're a year in now to the NXT 2.0 kind of thing, and it's different from the black and gold. I feel like I'm regularly more positive on the brand than others. But what say you, just kind of generally speaking, on the NXT 2.0 brand now that there's a year worth of proof of concept out there?
There's been a lot of recent change that I think is going to reflect a lot of similarities when it comes to a new regime in WWE as a whole that has really changed NXT 2.0 from the way it started to where we're sitting now. Right when it started, I know a lot of people were very interested, and some were very let down by the way that NXT 2.0 was because of the way it was a stark change, right? The lights were turned on, everything is color coded and splatted all over the walls. And then characters.
Not a single skull to be seen. Not a single skull to be seen.
No live Poppy performances for us anymore. It was over. And instead, we started seeing it was all character based. And for me, I enjoyed the idea that my wrestlers were going to be more than just wrestlers. I didn't want them to be like leaning in 100% character, but I wanted them to be people who have regular lives, quote unquote, who also happen to settle scores in the ring. So as a result, 2.0, a little over the top as it was, it didn't hurt, but the booking just kind of got worse and worse over time. And you can point fingers all you want. Shawn Michaels has come out and been like, if you didn't like it, it was me. That's fine. Sure. Shawn Michaels, you didn't book it always very well. I'll say it right here. But instead, we've seen recently that under a new regime, they're starting to make more sense out of storylines. They're trying to give a little bit more reality to the characters that are a little over the top. Like Tony D'Angelo. I was about to say Dominic D'Angelo because, of course, I'm thinking of
good. Why not?
Friends over at WrestleZone. So Tony D. He's a little less over the top, or at least you can see that they're trying slowly. They want to, while he's sitting there eating, biscotti and drinking espresso, he's actively trying to engage people to have fights with him. And that when Legado del Fantasma worked for him, they were, working. They said that, oh my God, what's her name? Elektra Lopez was like doing really well working on the docks. And it's like, okay, so there's something there that like they're trying to make sense of whatever ridiculous character, Tony D has. I like that. It's coming around. It's still over the top, and I like that, but it's not so over the top that people just clown on it for 2 hours.
That's really well said. And that's a good kind of analysis as to why I've liked the brand. And the other reason is more meta. It's more meta though, because I like the notion that, okay, the people that you were going to take the time to watch in NXT 2.0, we're going to get a legitimate shot on the main roster. At the time Vince McMahon was running creative. And for so long, we saw kind of these stars in black and gold NXT that would get called up and just kind of just fizzled away for whatever reason. Maybe some couldn't hack it, bad booking, whatever. Like whatever the reason was, you can probably count on one hand like top stars that like tip top stars that came from NXT as a top star and landed on the main roster as a top star. Now, I also think because of that dichotomy, like you had a batch of stars in NXT that did not want to leave NXT. Adam Cole, Ciampa, Gargano, like those guys, I think they know the business, they know the wrestling business, they know Vince McMahon, they saw the writing on the wall, and they're like, I'm good down here. I'm good making the money that I'm making, and that's it. But it created a stagnant product, for about the last year that it was on television, which coincidentally coincided with the battle with AEW. So not great. And so I like the pivot because I think it needed a pivot, and I think it needed to get just fresher. And they went way down the line on that spectrum. But I think genuinely speaking, it was a smart move. Not everything worked, and I think that's okay to call out. Like there was some stuff, and it continues not to work in my opinion. But there is some good stuff that's come out of it. Like Bron Breakker, I think, is a strong talent. Carmelo Hayes is a very strong talent. The Creed brothers, super strong. As you said, Tony D'Angelo, somebody at the beginning of NXT 2.0, I was like, what in the heck is this cartoon character mob guy who's like more funny than he is like serious? He was like a cartoon character, and he's come along throughout the last year on that. So the building blocks are there, Joel, and now that it's Triple H kind of led again, I'm not expecting a return to black and gold, but I do think you'll see kind of like straightening of the tie moments, as you alluded to.
Yeah, and one thing, it's funny, I'm thinking about the Tony D stuff when he first debuted. The lead up to it was the memeiest meme wrestler you could think of.
Yes.
And then he debuts, and people are like, oh, wait, no, he can wrestle. He's actually actually good at this, and he's taken to this. So people start there are certain wrestlers that kind of got that opportunity and they rolled with it, and they were like, well, yeah, this gimmick is over the top and it's ridiculous, but we're going to make it work. And like you said, the best pivot to 2.0 was at the time we were looking at how NXT wasn't really producing the right kind of star for Vince McMahon and co, whoever that was supposed to be. And this was supposed to be their reset, their opportunity to kind of to do that. Now it's changed, but I think we're going to find that happy medium. It shouldn't be, leather daddy NXT. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be, denim and leather and poppy and all that stuff. There's a room for that. I'm going to keep saying poppy because I just have my favorites. But anyway, I like what they're doing now more than I have in the past. And there's definitely room for improvement, but there has been a noted improvement over the last, let's say, month.
Yeah. Well said. Good point. Hello to our live listeners. Thank you very much for taking the time and joining us. Appreciate that. Christoph, appreciate the kind words as well, man. Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying the content. We're enjoying putting it out, and we'll continue to do so every day. So keep coming back. Thank you. Okay, so let's dig into tonight's card specifically, tonight's show specifically. They're touting it as like it's an anniversary show, so there's some NXT 2.0 Superstar of the Year awards that they're going to crown. There's going to be a cage match that opens the show, and we'll start things there with it's the Creed brothers against Pretty Deadly for the NXT Tag Team Championships inside a steel cage. To me, these two teams are made for WWE, and they're made for each other in WWE. I mean, they are polar opposites from a character perspective. I think Pretty Deadly is probably a little bit more. It's progressed further into like the character side of things, but the Creed brothers, from an in-ring standpoint, I mean, my goodness, they're pretty damn impressive. And so I'm looking forward to watching this match in particular. It's going to open the show, and I just am shocked that the Creed brothers have been able to do what they've been able to do. Like, they need work. Their promos need work. Their kind of character presence needs work. But you know, they're also just kind of playing those gym guys who are going to just kick your butt in the ring. And so, yes, it'd be nice if they were a little more polished, and I think they'll get there. But for now, this is a match made in heaven, and there's not a ton of backstory, but enough, I think, to throw it in a cage match and have them go. So, you looking forward to this tonight, or where are you at on the Creed brothers in particular?
I am. And the Creed brothers were certainly a team that I think were set to fail from the beginning. And they're a team that has turned it around. And actually, that comes from these two guys playing to their strengths. Calling him Brutus and having him be the big dude who does all the moves, it's honestly, it's the littlest thing that just works.
Yep.
And then you've got Julius, who is he's the speaker of the two. He gets very passionate and very hyped up, and he cut a promo a few weeks ago on Roddy Strong where everyone just kind of stopped and looked and said, hold on, this guy's doing something. It's actually something that I can get back and watch now. And that's where the Creeds have started to find their groove. They were always really popular with the Full Sail crowd. And I think, people at home who are watching were into the Creeds as well. Insofar that, when they won the tag titles, people were super into it. It was very popular, that decision. As to whether or not they should win tonight, I still think that Pretty Deadly are super duper strong and just so hateable in 2022 for all the wrong reasons. But quite frankly, they do such a good job of being these over the top guys who are fashion forward that it's absurd. And they have the most obnoxious saying ever. Yes, Bahoy. I love it.
and like, the thing is, they're so unabashedly obnoxious too. Like, you get the sense, what I like to judge character on is, like, if you were to see these guys in a supermarket while you're buying groceries, how would they be? And it's like, they come across like that's exactly how they'd be. And I think that's so, and so are the Creed brothers to a certain extent. And so I think that's really powerful and a good call out by you. I'm with you though. I think you want Pretty Deadly to retain here. I think you want to, like, build the Creed brothers up a little bit more. Them winning the tag titles again at this point, I think is going to be, a big deal when you think of, like, what are the potential pops that could happen, on NXT 2.0 in the next 6 months. To me, that's one of them. And I don't know that you just kind of give it away here, but they might at the same time, just because they want to make the show special tonight.
You got to assume that something happens with what's his name, Damon Kemp, and
Right.
maybe with Roddy Strong, or maybe even they bring out Gallus again and start having them brawl. Something weird is going to happen with that cage match. I don't think we're going to get I don't think we're going to get a regular 3 count finish.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like it. All right, so they're going to do some fan voting to determine who wins the award for NXT 2.0 Superstar of the Year. And, anybody that you'd think would be nominated is nominated. So do you have any inkling as to where they're going to go with this, knowing that usually it serves some sort of storyline purpose? Is it Braun Breaker just because he's the champion, or is it somebody like, Cora Jade?
Cora Jade is a huge question mark right now for a lot of different reasons, so we won't go with her. But Braun Breaker makes the most sense. Honestly, if people find that poll, I assume it's on WWE.com. Mello has got to be, if he's not one, then he is a very, very close second to whoever is number one. It really is Mello and Breaker's brand. And I'll go back to something you said earlier about a lot of stars not wanting to move from NXT to WWE. There is, and I think we'll dig into this later, there's a claim to be made that Breaker and Mello, they don't need to be rushed to main roster anytime soon, because NXT, they need their tentpole stars. And Mello, Breaker, even Trick to a lesser degree with Mello as a team, they are tent poles in that main division. And then they've got their women. They got Mandy, but Mandy's already been up and down. But, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, the tag team that they're starting with Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons, however you feel about them, they're being positioned to be, number one top stars in that division. And as a result, I think there's a larger conversation there. But as to who walks out with that, it's Braun or Mello. It can't be, like, no one else makes sense to me.
Yeah, no one else does. I think it's gonna be Braun Breaker too. And I mean, there's so many different angles you could take that you could. I mean, I know he's kind of mixing in with JD McDonough right now. I have always thought that Grayson Waller versus Braun Breaker would be a good feud to go to. This could be a way to jumpstart that. Like if you have Grayson just be all upset that he didn't get it. I mean, it's perfect. It writes itself.
Yeah. But the problem is they still have to do the JD McDonough rematch for whatever reason.
So, I suppose they do, yes.
But I love the idea. It's the perfect setup to have Grayson Waller just be like, "What is this? I'm the star. It's not this guy. It's this. It's me. But maybe you can at least set up a one-on-one, a non-title match, and then we can revisit it down the line because JD McDonough is going to get involved in whatever match those two have. Now I'm just booking false finishes for every match that's going to happen tonight, so that's great.
Yes, you've got a lot of the wrestling world just going, Joel, no false, no shenanigans, no.
Common. That's common with things that I say on my shows.
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, but the thing is, you have to take it into account because look, it is WWE. They do it a lot. They did it last night a couple times. So yeah, you can't put it past. You can't put it past it. And the thing of it is, like, I don't want to get on a tangent about shenanigan finishes, but sometimes they make sense. It's just that they don't make sense when they're like kind of clouded by there being 4 of them per week on TV. You know what I mean? So they can work. I digress. Another topic for another show down the road. Okay, so we're going to see tonight the debut of the Super Diva Quincy Elliott. I've been impressed with the video packages there. I think that there is charisma. I don't know. I can't really tell what the ceiling is for that act until we, see a match, and we're going to get that. We're going to get that tonight. What have you made of the tease there and the vignettes, and what are your expectations for tonight?
So because the Full Sail crowd is by and large the same crowd every week, and Quincy Elliott's been on Level Up quite a bit, I think that the response is going to be quite favorable to Quincy. He's had a lot of really strong matches too, and I'm sure Tom Stout with his Level Up bonus point show on VIP, he'll talk about Quincy Elliott for days. I'm excited to watch him in front of the actual Full Sail NXT crowd because this is going to be a really fun time for him. He's eccentric. He's crazy. Like he's got people talking, and I think that's wonderful. He's unique. I like that.
Unique, as you said. Yep. Unique. And Hazan, appreciate you being with us. Thank you. Also, Hazan's in the Braun Breaker camp, so I'll toss that up. And I want to get back to this point. We'll close the show with that, Hazan. So don't think like we forgot you, but that's an interesting little point. So we'll get back to that. I mean, and I think tonight it's about establishing him. I think it's going to be a squash match of epic proportions, and why shouldn't it be, right? Like, it's the debut, make him feel like a really big deal, and I think that's kind of what we're going to get.
Or make him in Jiro.
Yes.
I don't know who the opponent is, but let's just say it's Ika Minjiro.
And he's going to have a rough night ahead. Security guard Hank Walker is going to be in action tonight. The guy who is just backstage, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. Part of me thinks this is like an act that can get over in the short term because it's funny and it's he's likable enough. But I don't think this is a long-term thing. This is like a short, jolt of some interesting booking, and then you kind of go. I think Hank Walker needs another gimmick at some point. But hey, he's going to be in action tonight. What do you think?
I can't wait until he busts out a Seth Rogen laugh and then he gets rebranded as Seth Rogen Light. He's just that. He's
tremendous.
There's nothing else to him. I mean, if his catchphrase from here on in is just "what a dick," then that's all I need. And I don't know what to expect from this match because I don't really care. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to have Javi lose, and then suddenly a security guard is the guy who's 1-0 on NXT. How do you play that up? Does he get a contract? I'm assuming he's not officially an NXT wrestler, so he's just doing this. I don't know. They don't explain why the security guard suddenly wrestles, and that alone is just like I'm a little questioning this.
Do you think there's a chance he loses here?
Of course, there's a chance. I think it's silly,
Okay.
but of course, there's a chance because again, the guy who is a wrestler should technically beat the guy who is not a wrestler, or at least has never been profiled as one. So it would make sense for Javi to win. Maybe they do something underhanded because Javi is smaller than Seth Rogen, lookalike Hank Williams. No, what is he? What's his name? It's not Hank Williams.
I'm not sure who you're referencing.
Hank Walker. Hank
Walker. Yes.
That's Seth Rogen looking dude. I could just call him.
I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head now that he looks like Seth Rogen. Thanks a lot.
For him. One day he's going to come to the ring and be like, and everyone's just going to say, "Oh shit, there it is." But no, Javier Bernal has to win this match. It's the only thing that makes sense here, and he's just got to roll him up, maybe get leverage on the ropes, something that makes Hank Walker look silly because he's not a wrestler.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like I just don't know yet, like. Who's this supposed to be for? Is it supposed to be for Javier, where he's just like, okay, he's just going to be a jerk to this security guard and then beat him to a pulp in the ring? Fine. There's probably some heat in that. Or is it about the security guard? In which case, I think you need to do a lot better storytelling than they've done to this point to make that a thing. But we'll see. Either way, I don't think this isn't going to take up 2 segments of the show tonight. I don't think, Joel.
Probably not. If I had to put money on it, Javier Bernal would be one hell of a Los Lothario.
Yes, he would. I mean,
if he ever went trios.
Yes,
he would fit in. And him, if those 3 and Maximum Male Models, there we go. I just put together a 5-man Survivor Series team. No LA Knight, just Mache, Mansoir, and Los Lotharios and Javier Bernal.
And you also, at the same time, teased, WWE Trios titles. So, the news wires are going to pick that up. WWE to adopt
Don't do it.
Because of Joel.
Do it. Don't do it. Fix your tag division. Get your women's tag titles in order. Get your women's division in order. Do not add titles. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Okay, we are. Let's move through here. We'll hit a couple of these undercard. You got Lash Legend against Fallon Henley. That's happening. But there's not too much there to break down. For Legend and Henley both, I think, are not, in my opinion, they're just not kind of TV ready quite yet. Their matches aren't that great. The character work by both is okay, but not anything notable. And more so than anything, you could tell that they're out there like playing a part, like almost like they're playing a part in a play. And everybody's got characters. I get that, but I'm not sensing any authenticity there quite yet. And it takes time. I just, I don't know why. I think you probably want to hold on putting them on television, but hey, that's what the NXT 2.0 brand was all about. And they're there, and this match is happening.
That's all there is to it. Lash Legend being paired with Pretty Deadly, though, I think that was masterful. I think that was the right move because Pretty Deadly have that experience and they can absolutely get that character in Lash Legend moving forward and making it seem less like a theater show character, like you were saying, because I agree fully, and more like a Lash Legend, not just her.
Yes. No. We are also going to see Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark in action against Kiana James and Ariana Grace. I look at this, Joel, as just a kind of a establish me type tag team match for Lyons and Stark. I like that tag team. I think it's got some legs behind it. Not just in NXT either. I mean, I think you could drop that up on the main roster at some point, and you've got something there if you want to commit to the women's tag division. So I kind of think this is a Lyons and Stark dusting of Grayson James. But what say you?
Yeah, there's nothing else to add on that.
Good.
Stark and Jane. Stark and Lyons. That's it. They're back together. Here we go.
There you go. Okay. We're gonna get a Axiom versus Nathan Frazier part 2, I believe, on this show. A although I don't see it confirmed here on the WWE website, so I'm not sure. But let's spend a little time on it. I want to see Nathan Frazier cut the just enamored with being in WWE thing. Like I mean, you have it with him, you have it with Roxanne Perez, you had it with Cora Jade. It's just like, that's not a character. That is not a character. And Frazier's so damn good in the ring. Like, I mean, man, if you go watch, if you're interested, folks, go watch some of his stuff in GCW before he got signed. He had a great match with Scorpio Sky in AEW before he got signed to NXT. That's I also highly recommend. And I just am like, dude, no one is enamored that long with their workplace. Like, get over it, my friend. But I like him as a performer, and I think he's got, some potential. And then Axiom too, it's unique. I'm not ready to just kind of rave about it yet, Joel, but I think it's got potential. It's a good act for NXT 2.0 in particular. I'm glad that he's talking, even though he's wearing the mask, because I think you can express character well in that situation. So, I mean, this is going to fill some time if it is going to hit the show tonight, and it's going to be a good match. We know that. I thumbs up for me.
I would hold off on having match number 2 tonight. I just like you, I don't see it promoted anywhere. It's not on their socials, but I would wait to do that. And then I feel like match number 3 is going to be the main event one of these weeks on NXT, and that's going to be telling, because I feel like this best of 3 will cement one of these men as a face and a heel. And I think we'll finally get one of them turning, or at least one of them really cementing themselves as a member of whichever side they fall on. And why that's Nathan Frazier? Well, this is the guy who wears the mask is normally the baby face, especially the high flying one. And like you're saying, I'm sick of the guy who says, I'm just happy to be here. Did he also cut a promo about like living in his car just to get a chance to be a wrestler? Because that's a very cruiserweight classic thing to do in WWE. But I
sure
think
did.
that, oh boy, we're going to get that from every single wrestler of that generation. So I think they might hold off on doing it tonight, second match. But when they get to the second and third matches, those will be the third match especially will be much more high profile. And I think it'll have a big storyline finish and obviously a big finish to a best of 3.
I like it. Yeah. And I think you're right. Like, it's smart. If this was promoted and they pulled it, it's smart, because there's a lot of stuff on the show. We've already talked about a lot of it here for almost a half an hour, and we're still not even through all of it yet. So it, even if it is like the best thing in the world, it's gonna just be kind of fade into the background of some other things on the show that are going to get a lot of time.
Yeah.
Christoph, thanks a bunch. Yes. For some reason, whenever I'm on the air doing podcasts, a police car will, whiz by the damn house. It's not me, I swear. I promise.
I want to go back for a second and point out something. We just talked about this best 2 out of 3 falls not necessarily being part of this 1 year anniversary show. This is a Triple H like thing, because when he was booking Black and Gold, there was a time when he would have Aleister Black's story, whatever it was, on a different week from the Undisputed Era story. He would do a really good job of kind of having story 1 and story 1A, and ne'er the two shall meet unless they were finally going to have a match or at least be intertwined in some way. And I think that's kind of what we're doing here. We're trying to cement that these guys are becoming a 1A story, and that we're going to move the Mello and Braun stuff onto its own island to be together on a show.
It's a really good point. And I actually think you're seeing that on the main roster for the way Triple H is booking too. Last night was really heavy Mysterio stuff, but not super heavy on like the Riddle and Rollins thing. It was there, but it wasn't like super, super, super heavy. It wasn't, and there's other people that too. And so you're getting kind of each week, like you have everybody on the show, but they're, somebody's enhanced storyline takes kind of like center stage that night. And I think we saw that last night. Something really interesting to watch. Good point. Okay, we're going to get an appearance from Mandy Rose, her first as the unified NXT Women's Champion. My guess is at some point we'll get, I'm thinking we're going to get a challenger to her, out of this. I don't know. I don't have like a good pick for who I think it's going to be, but with her, she's not going to be the best worker in the ring, probably ever. But I think she's got a character that's over. I think it's authentic to her personality, and that's more than half the battle sometimes. And so I like her as champion. I think she's playing the part well. And who can they put in front of her now tonight, Joel, that it can be credible as a challenger?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Alba Fire.
All right, I'm in.
And the reason for it is a couple of weeks ago, she walked up to Mako Satomura. They did a big babyface exchange. You're a great champion. Mako's like, I won it from the best, and everyone who knows, who Mako won that NXT UK title from.
Yeah.
And then, Mako got beat by Mandy. Mandy could be like, I'm the best. I pinned everyone. She didn't pin Mako, but you get the point. They could do that, or they'll just have Blair Davenport come in and be like, hey, it's me. It's gonna be either Alba Fire, which is great, or it's gonna be Blair Davenport, who's like, I got pinned, but I could still win. Or, and this is the NXT way of doing it, the Parade of Challengers.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
And in the Parade of Challengers, we'll have everyone you can think of who's not in a match tonight. Is Roxanne Perez in a match tonight? I don't think she is.
She's not, no.
So Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, we'll have Blair Davenport, and we'll have Alba Fire. If we got a fifth, we can add a fifth. But those are the four women who will next week compete in the main event for the number one contendership to Mandy Rose's NXT Women's Championship. Hopefully, this is nearing the end of Mandy Rose's title run, not because she's not good, but because it's time for Toxic Attraction to start making their way fully to the main roster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And even the time they've been up there already, I think it's been successful. Like the act plays like on the big stage.
Yes.
And then it didn't even have Mandy there either. So yeah, I like that a lot. And yeah, you got to find the right person to take it off her. I thought Roxanne Perez would be a great, choice, and it still might be. But she still seems kind of tangled up with Cora Jade, for better or worse. Okay, we're going to see Tony D'Angelo in action. He's going to team with Stax to take on Cameron Grimes and a mystery partner. In the end, this is a match that's going to serve the Cameron Grimes versus Tony D'Angelo feud that's kind of been simmering the last couple weeks. If you disagree with that, Joel, let me know. But also, mystery partner here. Is there anybody that kind of strikes your fancy?
I just saw Odyssey Jones, mystery man in the chat. I don't know how Odyssey Jones is doing on his recovery. I know he's been out for a while. It would make sense because of who took him out. But I don't know. I don't know who it could be because I'm so cooled off on Cameron Grimes. And I love Cameron Grimes. I do the stupid shtick all the time on my shows where I'll do the to the moon and all that stuff. But I just don't this time. It could be Duke Hudson, and it'll be the enemy of my enemy is also my friend. And that'll still make no sense. But guess what? Cameron Grimes currently makes no sense on NXT. People have been talking. I know the Daily Cast guys have been talking for 2 years straight about, such and such happens, and then Cameron Grimes appears in the Royal Rumble, or he appears the night after Mania, the night after SummerSlam, whatever it is. We've all been doing this song and dance. It's time to pull the trigger, or at least do something with Cameron Grimes that's not this.
Yeah. He's just kind of floating around. Like he doesn't have a real purpose. He doesn't fit the brand anymore. This is potentially interesting. I wouldn't put my money on that, but it certainly would be an interesting little twist for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cameron Grimes, I think it's just, he's one of those guys where it's like, okay, you got to just bring him up, and see what he has, because he could either be, like an AJ Styles, or, he's going to just kind of fizzle away and get cut in a year. And either way, but yeah, he just sticks out like a sore thumb, on NXT. And it's not because he doesn't have good matches, or not that he's good on the mic. I think he can deliver on the main roster with whatever they ask him to do, whether it's comedy or, Johnny Gargano type matches or what have you. But you gotta make room for him somewhere up there, and they need depth. So it's not a bad move.
A month and a half ago, you could have had Cameron Grimes show up on main roster, and honestly, Vince probably would have put him in the 24/7 hunt in a week. Cameron would have done something wrong. He would have shaved his chest hair one week, and he would have been just gone off, whatever, not seen again. So I'm okay with letting Cameron Grimes sit for a couple more months and go wherever he needs to go as a character to eventually move up from NXT. But it's getting long in the tooth waiting on him.
Yeah. I mean, it is. And for him too, it's like, there's if you're going to bring him up and treat him like a somewhat of a big deal, not the guy you're going to strap your company to, I get that, but but he can have good matches with so many people on the main roster right now. Seth Rollins, Lashley, Gargano, Ciampa. I mean, just the list goes on and on and on. So why not? At the very least, it's like a good time filler for Triple H.
Yeah.
Last but not least, and what I'm guessing is going to be the main event, but I don't know. The NXT North American Championship will be on the line. Carmelo Hayes defending against the challenger that's decided by fan voting. And when I put the preview notes together, that had not been decided yet, and I don't think it's been finalized yet either. Joel, correct me if I'm wrong on that, though.
The list or the challenger?
The actual challenger.
Okay, no, I think they're going to do that as you're going to find out when the matches go. It's like when the match happens.
Okay, and so the options are Von Wagner, Joe Gacy, Wes Lee. None of those really, none of them make sense to me, really, just because Hayes is still a heel, and so are all of them aside from Wes Lee. But Wes Lee is also like I don't know that he's popular enough to win the fan vote. So it's like, to me, that's what they want to have happen. But I wonder if it goes a different direction. I hope it's Wes Lee.
So do I. It's the only thing that makes sense. And I think they're going to push very hard tonight on the show to make you want to vote for Wes Lee. And if he's winning the poll when it comes out, that's perfect. The reason why I said they're going to wait till the very end is because if it's Wes Lee, I can see them doing a shock victory, Melo being like, I wasn't ready, I didn't get to. It's just causing a fuss for the next 2-3 weeks, and eventually maybe getting a rematch or not, and refocusing on wanting the NXT championship. And I think we're finally getting closer and closer to Melo versus Braun, but Melo does have to drop the North American championship first. And Wes Lee's the perfect candidate, not because he's losing lately, but because this is the chance for Wes Lee to become that next level star that they're trying to build. And Wes Lee has a lot of support. A lot of people do like him. He's just kind of faltered lately. He's had a long road to climb since he lost his tag partner, right? And now this is the chance for WWE to be like, okay, we still like him. We still feature him weekly on TV. Let's see what he does with the North American Championship. And it's doing a fluke win like this. It works perfectly well. It does it, it just shows that on any given night, anybody can win, and doesn't matter if you had enough time to look at tape or whatever, prepare for your opponent. This guy just bested the champion on this night. Therefore, it works, and it makes enough sense that we can all be okay with it.
And it does something for Wes Lee too. You convinced me that he makes more sense than I kind of gave him credit for at the top. But because he's kind of floating around too, just kind of like he's doing jobs here, he's beating people there, nothing consistent. And this, like, you don't want your title to make the guy, but in this case, it gives him something to do that's significant to talk about, and you can have people chase him. I think that makes a lot of sense if they go that route. I also can see Carmelo Hayes just winning, just winning clean, and that's kind of it. But he's getting too big for that North American title, I think.
Yeah. I also see the idea of the title making the guy or the guy making the title. I see that as fluid. I think it really comes and goes. And in this case, the cachet of the North American Championship has been built so high that a guy like Wes Lee winning the championship would actually add to Wes Lee's cachet. And then he would have to build the North American Championship. It's kind of like you have just this balancing act where the
Yeah.
title's worth more, next guy wins it, okay, title's worth less because the new guy has to make it worth more. That's the balancing act that comes with it. They both elevate each other in certain ways, and right now the North American Championship is in a place where it will elevate whoever wins. And then also in this case, Mello is not going to look bad in defeat. He's just going to look like a guy who lost because he didn't know who his opponent was. He couldn't prepare. That's his whole thing. He won't look bad. He'll just look like he got lambasted, and that's it. Bamboozled.
Well said. Bamboozled. Yes. No, and yeah, that's a really good point. Good analysis. Yeah. So, Christoph, I think they tend to just go with it. The results. I mean, if you look back years to like when they first started doing this, like Taboo Tuesday, Cyber Sunday events, there were some kind of like, you knew that they didn't want to go that way, but that's how the results shook out. That being said, like if I'm WWE, I would work these things. I mean, they're, and just get to where you want to go. To me, and I know it's, whatever. That's not above board, but I just kind of think like Carmelo Hayes against Von Wagner, if that's what gets picked, makes no damn sense. So why go with it? Like, God. But again, I'm probably in the minority on that.
No, I believe me. Seeing Von Wagner versus Mello, seeing Von Wagner in the main event anywhere, no one's going to
anywhere.
Keeping their eyes on the screen. Believe me.
Yeah. Okay, I want to go. We'll wrap up with this. Thanks everybody, Christoph, Azan, for joining the show, and everybody else who joined live today. Really appreciate it. We will be doing live previews around this time of day for all the big shows. Again, Raw, NXT, AEW tomorrow, and Friday for SmackDown. And as I said at the top of the show, we'll maybe kind of get an Impact one in here, here or there. The idea of Shawn Michaels, booking NXT 2.0. We're going to finish on that. It's the anniversary. Generally speaking, if you had to ask me, you can only answer yes or you can answer no. And the question is, has HBK done a good job of booking NXT 2.0? My answer would be yes. And the reason I say that is not because there's a lot of misses, because there is. But that, to me, if I'm booking NXT 2.0, that's the goal. It's to put people out there, sink or swim, and find the misses so that you can weed them out and move people on in. And so for that reason alone, I think that he gets a thumbs up, because through that, he did find some talent. There's Carmelo Hayes is there. Roxanne Perez is there. Jade turning heel. That, I think, works better than her babyface character. Braun Breaker, D'Angelo, the Creed brothers. Like, it's littered with potential success stories. And so, yeah, there's probably double the amount of misses, but I'm okay with that given kind of the environment that's down there right now. So I would answer yes. How about you, Joel?
The saying behind every president is a strong team of advisors. I mean, I'm not going to call HBK the president, but in this case, let's call HBK the president. He didn't have a strong group of advisors until recently. And recently is when he started getting better at the job he's tasked with. And I think that says a lot. You're right about the characters that have come out of it, but again, that's creative. That's people who work, with HBK. Basically, if you're the guy pulling the trigger, you have to have the right people around you. I don't think HBK has been that great. If you're going to say yes or no, the answer is no. Up until September. Or up until August. August. Yeah. We're so a month in when Vince left, and I'm not saying everything magically changed immediately in NXT when Vince McMahon stepped down. That's not it. But you can see, again, I said at the top of the show, a market change between NXT 2.0 from a month ago, from 2 months ago, and a month ago. You're seeing it's finally starting to make sense. There was the 1 week where you had all the champions coming in, or that was when Worlds Collide. You had all the champions coming in the week of the show and being like, hey, you better win, or hey, the lineage of the title is super important. And I'm just sitting there and just like, all right, they're all getting on the same plane tonight and it's flying out of Orlando.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay, fine. But no, the point was having all those cameos, it was a good link, and they weren't going to do anything like that if it wasn't, Triple H's baby back in his hands. So it's getting better. It's getting better. And I think maybe in 6 months, I will change that answer to a yes. But again, in the balance of the scales, the answer is no, because for as long as he's been the guy, it's only recently gotten better and it's been less time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll wrap it up there, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in live. And again, remember to keep it locked to the channel. Subscribe, like the video. Joel, always a pleasure, man. But you're doing some fantastic work over at Fightful. Plug away. Let everybody know how they can catch more of your wrestling thoughts, meanderings, and analysis.
Meanderings is right. Meanderings over at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. That's Twitter, Instagram. I'm more active on Twitter than anything else because this mug looks better behind words than it does.
That is not true. That is not true.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, your check is in the mail. My demo reel is now the pinned tweet there. I also do work over at Fightful. I manage the Fightful Overbooked channel, youtube.com/FightfulOverbooked. That's a channel where we have really the overflow of stuff, the non-Sean Ross Sapp stuff, because we all like to clown on Sean Ross Sapp on our own channel. I host a few shows on that channel, including one that dropped this past weekend called Strong Style, where myself and my friend Cher talked about fashion during All Out Weekend, and also why people dress up to go to professional wrestling shows, and what comes from that, and the swagger that you get from doing that, because some people wear t-shirt and jeans, some people dress up in full garb attire and suits and ties. So a show like that is called Strong Style. Go check it out over on youtube.com/FightfulOverbooked. And I host the Post Impact show on the main youtube.com/Fightful channel every Thursday night after Impact goes off the air. It's football season, so please start hanging out with us. It's really sad when it's like everyone's like, "Oh, Thursday Night Football," and I'm like, "I'm Canadian."
Yeah, but also this week is going to be
this week's show
because it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, not last week's show, I should say. Last week's show was awful. You'll hear my thoughts if you go and watch it.
There you go. Go ahead and watch it. Joel, thank you. You're one of the best. Always love having you on, and we'll do this again soon. To everybody else, appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.